administration and making decisions on it. Someone else is making these decisions, and he's either going along or they're just putting him in the chair and making these decisions. What do you think, Marshall?
I mean, I think he makes the decisions, but I think there are people like Stephen Miller behind the scenes who definitely exercise formal control, and they probably should. Right, dude? Like, you've heard me rail against, like, the use of executive authority. I don't like it if it's Republican. I don't like it if it's Democrat. It takes power away. But I do want to pass the thing to Yarl. Yarl, I do have a question for you. What genocide is he funding? I saw that, and I'm curious.
I'm sure you're going to argue over the definition of genocide, but I argue to Iraq is on its way to be a genocide soon, just give it a few more months, and Gaza. So 3 genocides.
Yeah, but other than direct military aid, we didn't really have much to do with Gaza. That was kind of the Israelis on their own, wasn't it?
Sure. Yeah, sure. At least you don't deny it. Yeah. You guys, though, that's all. Well, Trump and the last however many presidents.
I don't know. I broke this down the other day. U.S. like individual spending on something like funding Israel on a high year is between $20 and $25 a year. On a high year, it's between $90 and $120. Really, like, per year. So you're really paying nothing for this. We then pay for Ukraine, Egypt, Syria, and a couple of other places. And that amounts to like 1% of overall federal spending. Right? It's just not like, it does not make up a significant amount of money we devote to things.
Most of the money that we actually give to Ukraine is Russian money. And that's why, I don't know if you saw last week, they actually lifted, the administration lifted some of the Russian sanctions because before this, most of the aid, we had kind of seized, I think it was $270 billion. Was it billions? We seized a lot of fucking money from the Russians. And this is the money that we were kind of giving to Ukraine to fight the war. And so when people would say we're giving Ukraine all this money, it wasn't actually true. We were giving the Ukrainians the Russian money. And that's why Putin was trying so hard to get the sanctions lifted. Yes. And I think just last week we actually lifted some of the sanctions, which is weird because they're going to use this money to go kill Ukrainians. Something is not making sense unless it does, is a phrase I use.
Something's rotten in Denmark.
Yet something's not making sense unless behind the scenes it's making perfect sense. Like all of these suspicious large oil shorts right before he comes out and says we have a deal, and then the Iranians say we don't have a deal, but the damage is kind of already done. Someone's made a lot of money. Something doesn't make sense unless it does.
Well, we broke the Uncle Steve rule. 5 seconds of dead air.
5 seconds of silence, right? Yeah.
Bradford, good to see you, buddy.
Hey, buddy.
Hi. Good conversation. Did not mean to join the stage, but I'll provide color commentary where necessary.
Hey, David. How you doing?
This is a good little room we got going.
Yeah, no one's talked about anybody's
I didn't give my reasons why I think Trump is nuts. I'm going to stick to one thing, and it's Truth Social. A post he made today talks about how proud he is of being 15th cousin to King Charles. If you go ask an AI how likely you are to be 15th cousin with anybody on Earth, that likelihood is about 100%. I've always wanted to live in Buckingham Palace, he says. So anyways, but I'm probably 15th cousin with him as well. The post, I have another post in my PTR, the one that he posted like 2 days ago, is him comparing, I don't know, some statue, I guess that's important to Americans, under Obama and under him. If you look in his own post, that the clouds are identical in both pictures, right? Perfectly identical, which means it's a lie. It's AI generated. So that's 2 days and 2 stupid posts. And then if you go back 3 days ago, well, no, that's not true. If you go back about a week and a half ago, Donald Trump posted an ad on his own social media for stake.com crypto gambling. So if you're not gambling your money on stake.com, are you even American? And on that note, Trump is not.
It's funny though, right? Because they said when Biden left the White House, his net worth increased by, they said, $2 million, right? In Trump's first term, they said when he left the White House, he and his family's net worth increased by $2 billion. It's absolutely fucking insane. Like that you can increase your net worth.
He violates the emoluments clause at will.
And nobody does anything about it. You know, one of the things, if you listen to King Charles's speech today, he's like, hey man, you got 8, and this is just like, you know, summarizing. He said, you guys have 3 branches, and it's supposed to be about checks and balances, but it's like everyone has just like, you know, given up their authority, and
They've abdicated to the executive because it's easier to farm out those decisions on executive agencies. You can then blame in your elections for doing dumb shit. Right? It's like, it's a electoral thing. Right? That's why Congress has given up so much of its prerogatives. Because it's like easier to get reelected when you don't have to control much of what you do. When you get like to pass the hard questions onto the court and onto the executive. Like Congress is fundamentally lazy.
But then, Marshall, what about the courts, right? So the courts were always kind of, we are independent, right? So, and historically, yeah, you know, maybe, you know, you'd have conservative justices and liberal justices, but it tended to be about the law and the Constitution, right? And so we have this thing now where they basically told him that under executive power, you can do whatever you want, even and up to, you know, killing people. And you can't even question the motive of some of these decisions.
Are you lamenting the state of executive power, or are you lamenting the fact that the court has gotten to that place, or both?
I'm lamenting the adversarial nature of what the 3 branches should actually be to in service of what's in the best interest of the country, right? So I can understand, like, okay, you have left-leaning, right-leaning in the executive and in the congressional, right? But the courts, for most people, this is kind of like the last bastion of what's supposed to be balance in this country. And if the courts are no longer balanced, then are we basically like living in the Matrix? You know, it's when you have, you know, it's when you have, okay, we have a court order for this. The administration just says no. And then there's no, you know, laws are only...
Out of the thousands of orders that the courts have given it, have disobeyed something like 400. So there is like a non-compliance aspect of this.
Yeah.
The executive is fundamentally rewriting rules. But that then goes back to this argument of the executive is like far too powerful, and the Congress has abdicated its responsibility to the executive and the court. We're asking the court to make justice for that. Right? Like the abortion matter, that should be a political matter we decide. Right? If there's a legal aspect of it, surely adjudicate it. But if we're adjudicating the largest issues of contention in America, level with 9 unelected justices, of course those justices are going to look illegitimate over time. Not because they may be, but because they're having to deal with these really, really, like, wicked kind of socialist, well, not wicked's not the right word, these really kind of thorny and contentious social issues where you're not ever going to make everybody happy. I mean, you're never make everybody happy, but you know what I mean. Like, you're going to upset both sides of the aisle if you do it right.
Do you think, let me ask you this, right? Do you think, I've heard arguments that the court should have expanded like long ago. The arguments that I've heard literally from law professors was that a larger court, meaning Supreme Court, a larger court could actually hear more cases. Like we have a very large
judiciary is a really big thing. I had this conversation with Duncan's judiciary. Her answer to me was, well, it's because we have to consider the partisan makeup. And that's the political answer from Congress. Like, the partisan makeup of the courts, like, needs to be the way we do it. Is you don't want to give the Democrats too much of an opportunity to, like, appoint justices, nor do you want to give the Republicans too much of an opportunity to appoint justices. And so that apparently that's been like a sticking point in Congress for like going on 30 years or something like that.
But isn't that a problem though, right? Because courts can actually affect individual lives, right? So
yeah, I think if I identify as it's one for each state. Go ahead, Austin.
Maybe there should be 50, one for each state. But I was just going to say, like, yeah, the court should kind of like stick to things like medical malpractice. Like that would be.
I'm thinking good morning. 1997, Tony Blair introduced the entire justice system to become politically biased. I repeat, deliberately, he done that. Yeah, wait a second. 1997, he done that in order to comply, more or less, make the justice system as a weapon, comply with any political system. Of course, he was right. Yeah, exactly. And the same time, he put it.
No. This is interesting because our system
was a foundation of your Democratic Party. He was a foundation of the Mr. Obama. You check it out. These are reality. You don't want to talk about it because you're ashamed of it. Or if you're ashamed of it, either you don't know anything about it, either you never had a chance to search it, either you do know and you're ashamed of it. I don't care. But the reality is, all this concept, these principles, I'm a conservative. Always in my life have been conservative. You call it Republican. As an idea, I'm 70 years old. I've been fighting over 50 years against the left, and most importantly against the Islamic socialism, Islamic communism, all those shit. I know about it. Believe me, I know about it. Don't wind me up about this because I can go on and on. The reality is, somebody got to fight. As much as I really hated to admit, you don't fight. Either you're not aware of it, what is the enemy, the true enemy is. It is on your doorstep. It is right on your doorstep, on your next county. This is reality in the Western world, and it is not by accident, it is by design. That is a reality. I'm sorry, I really am sorry. But this is reality.
Yeah, that was really quick.
That's what I was going to say. That took a dramatic turn.
Marshall, let me ask you, do you think a better system even if people wouldn't agree, like if we had 12 Supreme Court justices, and it was actually, remember back at the founding, if the president was one party, vice president was the other, and they quickly did away with that, right?
That's the beauty of the United States. Because you give a chance to certain states, make it different. And Europe, they are trying to copy that. They can't. They cannot. That's the beauty of the United States, because there is that chance, that reality exists. Make it up different. You make that up different, like a Las Vegas. You make that look, and you glorify it. This is important, very important. And if that wouldn't exist, we will be living in dictatorship. We will be living in the God forbid. And that is reality. And somebody like Mr. Trump, he put it right on the microscope. He made it mega reality. And people can't handle it. It's too much. The light, the reality, the montage, the left, right, center, the information and fact, reality, past. He been brought up by this, and he fucked us up. But I admire him for it. I do admire him for it. Because
Marshall, what I was going to say is, like, do you think, like, it should be mandatory that the court, as, like, if someone's going to go get all the way to the court...
I mentioned that because...
David, you just know it.
If the idea is that, the Supreme Court is the court and lawyers have to come and make an argument, right? Do you think, like, it would be better if the court were balanced so that these arguments aren't the best arguments? It's like a kid, you have like a bunch of D1 basketball schools, but Rutgers is never going to beat Miami,
Yeah, well, I run into this problem where I get to a place where I'm like, yes, that's the intent of people like us who are looking to solve the problems. The intent of the other people is to view the court largely partisanly. And it doesn't matter which side of the aisle you're on. I mean, the Warren Court was judged as left-wing by some Republicans. The Rehnquist Court was judged as a little left-leaning. The Roberts Court is judged as right-leaning. So there are a whole lot of people who make that decision based on their partisan interest. So it's not like, well, I support this because it's a good idea for the country. It's like, I support this because it screws over the other side. So I wonder how many of the high-end practical people you could really get plugged into solving that problem. Because that seems like the race to me between getting like the people that don't do anything to solve the problem and the people that actually want to solve the problem. Like, you kind of got to be there first. So that seems like a possible solution, but I don't.
It's like Vegas. It's like Vegas or Atlantic City, right? Like, you go and you play. You know that the house always wins, but you think you think you've got a shot, like you've got a strategy, or you've got this or you've got that to increase your odds. But if you find out that the house is cheating, you turn the table over and no one wants to play. And in Gary's room, I think it was yesterday, we were talking about this idea about the correspondence dinner. People believing that the correspondence dinner and the incident was a setup. And so I don't believe it was a setup. But I think that's a symptom of a and the truth we need, because if they don't play, they want to turn the tables over. There are people who want to just burn it all down. That scares me.
Hey, that's the same thing that scares me. They want to overtake the cart. They won't bother to pay attention to the rules.
I was on Wall Street for 16 years, man, and it's like I can tell you that the system is rigged. I can absolutely tell you the system is rigged.
No kidding.
But I do.
How many power you have?
Yeah. But there's doors, right? You know, there's doors.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a large issue about the economy, but like I don't know the right way to diagnose that, so I kind of leave that to other people.
Well, then, Marshall, how do you explain America saying they don't negotiate with terrorists, but now you have terrorists negotiating with you? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on?
Hi, Stephen. How you doing?
I'm fantastic. I'm a model. Any answer to that, Marshall? You don't negotiate with terrorists, but somehow terrorists have you up against the wall. So you're negotiating. And that's where you're begging to negotiate. Wait. And you're begging to negotiate. You have no answer now. You plead the fifth? Okay.
No, I don't happen to have a for you. That's not all.
Yeah, but isn't that weird? Don't you think that's weird, Marshall?
No, I'm not.
Well, America has a new stance that they do negotiate with terrorists. Is that what we need to say?
Who are the terrorists? Though? Who's he talking about, Marshall? Who's the
Well,
terrorist?
for 47 years, they convinced you that Iran was a terrorist nation. They still say it. Terrorists.
Iran is.
Why are you
the
negotiating?
largest
Why are you
It's
negotiating?
the largest state sponsor of terrorism.
Why are you negotiating with terrorists?
We attacked them. We attacked them. I said, and because we attacked them, so you have to negotiate.
Oh, you have. Oh my God, you have to negotiate. Thank you so much. That wasn't so hard, was it?
I'm
Did you know
totally
that
confused.
BP? Did you know that British Petroleum used to be Anglo?
Sorry, I just couldn't do it anymore.
But did you say
Kitover?
Did you know that person?
I don't know whether that's Kitover or this account called Point Taken that likes to come in and harass me. Either or, they're annoying.
God, Kitover's back.
Oh no, with a falsetto voice. Gosh, wannabe Richard Nixon putting people into a corner with strange falsetto questions. The world's a sketchy place these days. Is my mic working?
Yeah, dude, I can hear you.
Yeah, I wasn't getting like echo thing around my PTR. That was it. What was that guy trying to say about Tony Blair? I don't think Tony Blair influences really very much.
No, what he was trying to say was that the Blair administration monopolized their justice system in a way that was unequal, and like he's a kind of a precursor to the United States, and lots of different stuff which were not really kind of joined together. They were like a little bit disparate, but
which was strange because I think the British Supreme Court was founded after Blair's term as being maybe Royfield knows the specifics about that. The British Supreme Court's like a recent invention as far as I remember, like very recent.
You know, Blair kind of went into hiding after Iraq. You know, Blair was one of the guys that
he did.
I guess, you know, they recently brought him back out. I think he's going to be a consultant on the Gaza thing.
Yeah, he's one of the main architects, I guess. Like, I don't think Trump said it delegating and appointing, but that was a pretty good pick for the Board of Peace. Is he like in charge of the Board of Peace?
I think he's significantly high up, and
yeah, that was one of Trump's best appointments.
Reverend Scott, I saw your PTR earlier. I'm very happy for you, bro.
Is the jazz coming through on my headphones?
We can hear you.
The jazz?
No.
The jazz a little bit.
Oh, cool. I wish I could play piano like that.
Austin, where are you located? Are you in Austin, Texas?
No, I'm in California. I identify as being from the greater Los Angeles area. I'm at a jazzy place at the moment.
What kind of weather you guys in?
That's beautiful. You see,
It's chilly.
it's kind of like mid-sunset.
I gotta get up in the morning, so appreciate it. See you guys on the road.
It's always good to chat. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Wait, are you going to Detroit?
No, I was actually in Detroit 2 weeks ago.
Never been there. It seems like a cool place.
It's cool, man. But I had this. Did I tell you about the tornado warning?
The Midwest.
Fucking, I'm a city boy, dude.
Yeah. Like, I don't know much about the Midwest. I was going to ask though, do you know anyone that's moved to NYC from like a tropical or Mediterranean climate? Like, how do people adjust?
That's interesting. I know people who've moved. So didn't you say tropical Mediterranean? I know people who've moved here from Greece.
Yeah, that's like a Mediterranean climate. Like
Yeah,
the tropical climate, it's like
yeah.
Caribbean.
Yeah, New York is really, Astoria is like, the Astoria, Queens is like the Greek capital of New York City. It's nothing but Greek restaurants and Greek families and
Pizza.
yeah.
Just stuff going on.
Yeah, it's really, really. New York, I was in Chinatown earlier today. I go in like once a month. I meet my buddy. We go get Peking duck. They hang the ducks in the window. When I tell people that the ducks are hanging in the window who don't live in New York, they all get disgusted. They're like, yeah, you eat the duck.
Californians, yeah. A lot. I don't think that fly like very many places in this country.
That does not gross me out in any way, shape, or form.
The best Peking duck is the best thing, man.
Dude, you'd have people like throwing paint at the window. That was in California. We banned the sale and resale of fur coats here. It's crazy.
No way, really? It's too hot anyway. It's probably too hot.
Yeah, it's probably too hot, but I want a fur coat. Don't make it so I can't get one.
But it's funny you say that.
That's a good thing to know. Like, you don't have a real political power in California.
But look at the brands, right? So Canada Goose removed fur from their hoods. A lot of the winter, like Montclair, they all took fur. I think Macaj is I know you guys don't get cold weather, but like cold weather fashion is a big deal here. And if you don't know who Canada Goose is, right?
I know what it is, yeah.
Yeah, and so, but they finally, after years and years, they finally banned the furs from the hood. And the jackets don't look that great. I kid you not, that sounds shitty.
The power of California Freedom might have pulled it off. But I wonder who made synthetic fur. That's an interesting thing.
Even synthetic down. But I understand it gets cold here, man. Like, we actually had a couple of days in late December, early January where it was like 8 degrees in the city. And, I don't know if the synthetic down is as...
I'm sure folks eventually... that'll be like a rabbit hole that we'll not have GPT about.
I actually stopped reading the Epstein files like for literally a month and a half. I was obsessed. I was literally obsessed every weekend. I'd take my laptop to the coffee shop because I didn't want it on my Wi-Fi. And I would just start going through the Epstein files, and there's some really gross stuff in those files, man.
It's scary as hell. That dude was a monster.
I'm gonna tell you something, right? So there's been bets on the Upper East Side for over a year and a half that she was gonna get cut loose, and that when she got cut loose, she was gonna be in the wind. And I really, at first, I'm like, nah, I don't think it. I really do think they're gonna cut her loose soon. And
Melania?
no, Ghislaine Maxwell.
Oh, wow.
I think they're gonna cut her loose, and people have been, people have been saying, no, they're gonna cut her loose. She's gonna hang out there. She's got too much. They're gonna cut her loose, and I'm like, nah, they're never gonna cut her loose. I think they're gonna cut her loose. I really do believe they cut her loose, and then that's just gonna be the end of it. They're gonna tell everybody that's it. It's over. Go back to your lives, and that's just gonna be the end of it. Which is terrible, by the way. I'll see you guys tomorrow.
All right, have fun reading about synthetic furs instead of like sketchy criminals.
Later.
What's up, boo?
I'm just chilling, Marshall. What about you?
Going to meet a buddy at a bar for a drink.
I gave up drinking in October, so I'm drank since then. What's your favorite drink, Marshall?
White Russians, the dude hides, and mocktails.
I like a more simple drink.
Sorry, living on friends and stuff from my mom.
A lot of people don't like, or they like this drink, but I know it's considered kind of simple. But I'm a big fan of like a Moscow Mule. I love the ginger in it. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Scott, do you like mocktails or mocktails catching on in the Northeast?
I'm sorry, you have to be a complete loser to drink a mocktail. I don't even drink alcohol anymore, right?
You're just like, I'd rather give it up entirely instead of drink pussy drinks.
Yeah, like, actually, right?
You're like, no idea.
Especially the
You knew these were fighting words for the Californian. We have our $20 mocktails and we take them to your shoes.
I live in
Wait, you
California.
paid $20 for a mocktail? If it doesn't have
I know,
alcohol,
there's a lot of people do.
The worst is 0% alcohol beer. Who the
Beer?
Who the fuck enjoys the taste of beer? I've never been a big beer drinker in my life. It's so gross.
Oh, I have.
The people
I
who
like beer like it's going out of style.
it just tastes.
Depends on what you drink. Like, I got a couple of light ones.
Yeah, that has some like citrus flavor in it. You can get like whatever. They all taste like.
I mean, I like tequila. Now, that's a good one for me.
When I drank, I mainly drank like Bottle Pico or seltzer. My friend put me on. My friend, he's the one who told me about Topo Chico. I was also a big fan.
Get you on this mineral water cocktail.
I was also a big fan of soju, the Korean drink. Especially like peach flavored soju, they have grape flavored soju, strawberry flavored soju, kiwi flavored soju, so many. Marshall, do you drink soju?
Never tried it before.
No, you haven't. You should try it the next time you're at the liquor store, or if you're at like a Korean restaurant. It's kind of sweet. It's like a sweet alternative to vodka, lesser ABV also.
You know what I would just rather do? Smoke a bowl. I like smoking a bowl is preferential over drinking.
No, I would disagree. Drinking is so much. I smoke weed every fucking day, but drinking was so much funner.
But I think Marshall's right in terms of harm reduction and stuff like that. But don't go overboard with either.
No, I
Some control is not.
Everything in moderation, including moderation.
If you drink alcohol excessively, you're gonna die. If you smoke too much weed excessively, you are gonna cognitively hurt yourself. But other than that cognitive impairment, you're not gonna die, right? And so yeah, excessive marijuana has definite negative side effects, which is number one, cognitive impairment. But it won't kill you, right? Like excessive alcohol.
Yeah.
Marshall, I hear the keys around. Are you gonna drink and drive?
Remember, don't drink and weed. It could ruin your life. You could get a DUI.
I'm just going to a bar.
And so if you plan on driving to the bar, how do you plan on getting back to your home?
Remember, always find a DD.
But one beer is not going to make me tipsy. It just doesn't.
I'm sure you're gonna only drink one. I know you, Marshall. I've seen you drunk before. You stopped at one beer.
Okay, that's fair. I'll probably have two, but no more.
Are we
Find
talking?
a DD.
Are we
I
talking?
promise this wouldn't seem at all intoxicated. He can take my keys.
There should be an app for finding a DD.
I'm going as a designated driver.
That's a good
Yeah,
idea.
these are like space aliens. Take a Uber. Like these space aliens. We haven't got.
I have a story, Marshall. I'm sure you can relate. So this story might have hypothetically happened.
Allegedly. It allegedly happened.
So I'm at a bar, and I hypothetically and potentially allegedly have like 10 shots of vodka. I thereafter hypothetically start driving home. I thereafter hypothetically am pulled over by the cops for running a stop sign. This is during the height of COVID though. And so I see the cop exit his vehicle. I'm like, oh fuck, what do I do? I'm hypothetically about to get a DUI. Then I see my COVID mask in the car. Now this is during the height of COVID. I think it was like 2021. It was full lockdowns, 6 feet rule, etc. And I hypothetically see the cop walking toward me. Thereafter, I'm like, fuck, what do I do? I see my COVID mask, I put it on. The cop does not ask me to take my COVID mask off. I hypothetically get off. That was also one of the few times I drank. Never hypothetically drink and drive.
I don't do it anymore, but I used to a lot.
Based. basically.
Really not very responsible.
Almost in smoke and drive.
I mean, it's the exact opposite of responsible. I had a family member who died that way, so it's not behavior I should express.
You know what's insane? That before the 1980s, drinking and driving was fully legal in America. I find that so.
Yeah, have you ever seen the hillbilly commercial with that guy? He goes, getting to where man can't work a 12 to 18-hour shift and then get in his truck and have a couple cold ones on the way home.
Yeah, like before 1980 was everyone just drunk driving. Like, I can only imagine how the streets must have been.
I'm not sure.
You know what I find so weird? That everyone did used to smoke indoors before like the 1990s, right? And you'll have people say, yeah, I've smoked like I know this one older guy was like, yeah, I used to smoke cigarettes on the plane all the time. And I was like, what the fuck? You could smoke on planes back in the day? That is insane.
Yeah. And then they had a smoking as if the smoke didn't go all over the plane anyway.
I would be so annoyed if I was in that plane, like 10 people smoking up. You're in a tiny cabin. I would be so pissed off.
So I was getting high and driving, and I didn't complete a stop on a stop sign, so a cop pulls me over, and then he said, "What's that I smell?" And while I'm trying to think of a good answer, he says, "Were you smoking a cigar?" And I went, "Yes, sir, that's what I was doing." He didn't want to take the old man in, so he just gave me an excuse. And so, if you do smoke in your car, maybe keep a half-smoked cigar in there.
One time I smoked and I drove. And the cop pulls me over. And it was because back then I had a legal tint on my car. And so I had like tinted front windows. I bought it from the dealership. It was this SUV I bought. And the dealership sold it to me with illegal front tint windows. And so I get pulled over by the cops. I'm like, oh fuck, I just came back from my friend's. Hands must smell like weed. I have a cup of coffee next to me. I dunk my hands in like boiling hot coffee. And yeah, the cop didn't notice the smell. Because I just smelled like coffee, right? But it was so painful. I was like, oh my god. Marshall, one time, DWI story.
Trump is not nuts, by the way. He is not crazy. He's just a horrible human being.
Yeah. So I had two interactions. One on my land. I was hunting and smoking weed, and some federal agents like moseyed on up to my fence, I guess because they smelled the pot. Like I walked up to him with a pipe in my ear because I was high, like a dumbass, and it fell out. And the cop was like, "What's that?" I went, "Oh, it's the thing I found." And the cop looks at me and goes, "You want to try that shit again?" Yeah, yeah, try that again. And so, like, I ended up talking to the cops, which was a bad thing, right? Because we got a ticket out of the deal. And that was about it.
They let you off, but they just didn't do anything.
Yeah. A pipe and a grinder in my car, and I had not been smoking. It smelled like weed. And the cop pulled me over and confiscated my pipe and grinder. It was like, "You're lucky that you didn't have any weed." And the thing I thought about to this day was that there was weed loaded in it. And the cop didn't look. And so I got away with it. but those incidents are few and far between, like 7 and 10 years ago. Don't do that stuff anymore.
One time when I was in undergrad, we were smoking in my friend's car. Like, we had like gone out to Malibu for the day, and we had come back, and we were like, before we head back to our dorms, let's smoke up, right? And so we were smoking in his car. This is before weed was legalized in California. So this is in 2015. And so we were smoking in the car, and for some reason, LAPD gang unit pulls up on us. Now, this is a pretty nice area we're in, right? This is it. I went to Pomona for undergrad. And so I'm very surprised. What the fuck is LAPD gang unit? And I guess he was just driving through the area, this like gang unit member. And, he saw us smoking in the car, so he pulls us over. I mean, not pulls us over, we were parked, but he knocks on the window. I had an anxiety attack almost when, imagine you're just smoking weed in the car you're hotboxing, right? And next thing you know, you hear a little knock on the window. It's the middle of the night. And it's a fucking cop shining his flashlight, right?
God, in Texas, that suck gets you arrested. If they find you fucking smuggling in your car, they're probably going to arrest you.
And all the cop told us was, hey, don't drive after this. And we were like, yes, sir, yes.
Lou, what do you think is with the uptick in political violence in America? I haven't heard your take on this. Nowhere near like the historic violence of the 60s or of the 1920s, but it seems to have upticked in in a really bad way.
I think
how about this? The right wing, the Republicans want us to shut the fuck up. They say, hey, your rhetoric is what's causing this. Well, if I'm calling Trump a fascist or saying he's a threat to democracy is causing this, don't ask me to shut the fuck up. I'm telling the truth. Stop acting like fucking fascists. Stop being a threat to democracy, and then I'll stop saying. How about that?
Well, talking about Trump,
I mean, I don't the intention is to bring down the level, and we have to build with each other rather than tear.
Marshall, I have a question for you.
Yeah, what's up?
You're saying we need to build up. And I agree with what Billy said. And I don't know if you saw today, and this isn't a small matter, although it seems small. This year, if you want to renew your passport, it's going to have a giant picture of Trump.
Yeah, which I think is stupid.
I don't know. Yeah, let me just finish.
Yeah, which is just incredibly stupid.
And so we have a person who is so narcissistic, so infatuated with himself. He has created a cult of personality similar to an actual dictator. Similar to Mussolini, right? Mussolini had created a cult of personality around himself, so did Hitler. And I'm not saying Trump is Hitler, but the fact he has created this cult of personality where now it's the Kennedy Trump Center, the National Park Pass. If you get an annual National Park Pass, it has a picture of Trump on it. The passport has a picture of Trump on it. This is
So imagine this. You wake up one day and you say to yourself, I can't stand this. I'm going to destroy anything with his name on it. You give everyone 30 days notice. Get his name off your hotel or whatever building it is, or I'm going to bring it down. That's my fantasy. Be a great short story.
Or did you hear about the recent corruption? There's so much corruption. I'm not talking about the meme coin. I'm not talking about the Trump nuclear energy company. I'm not talking about Trump in Dubai. I'm not talking about Jared Kushner in Dubai. Recently, there was a Syrian businessman who had $12 billion in contracts under sanctions. So the Syrian businessman, to get out of these sanctions, is creating a Trump-branded golf course in the Middle East, paying Trump hundreds of millions of dollars for the licensing fee. And also, he has included Jared Kushner in a $1 billion hotel deal on an island in Albania. So Jared Kushner is now part of a $1 billion deal. And this is just like such a brazen corruption. And people were complaining about Hunter Biden. But how do you ignore it?
If they put his name on the dollar bill, I'll be burning one every day.
I wonder what he'll put his name on next, because he already defiled the Kennedy Center, and he defiled the passport, and he defiled the national pass. If you get like an 80 of Trump next to George Washington, it's so funny. It's so funny.
But being a toxic narcissist and having no compassion is not great. It's sick, but it isn't great. He's not nice.
Yeah, I don't think he's crazy. I do think he's a narcissist. And it's very dangerous to have a narcissist as a president, right? And it's just, I think people have become normalized to Trump's narcissism and corruption. And that I find dangerous, right? Because every single day, like I said about the Syrian businessman and the $12 billion contracts, every single day there's some new corruption scandal where Jared Kushner is making money, Don Jr. and Eric Jr. are making money.
And Obama made a damn good deal with the fucking Iranians to keep them, keep an eye on them. He had inspectors there and everything. And of course, Trump got rid of that too. Just like the Irish tech. I mean, that's like he made science go away at Harvard and other places.
Yeah.
It's like he and Musk killed 600,000 people when they got rid of USAID.
Well, Austin, we were just discussing the Trump quarter. What do you think about it? But yeah, or the COVID conspiracy theories, right? Like, I think the Republican Party became irreparable in their brokenness once they fully encapsulated the COVID conspiracy into their politics. And the COVID conspiracy targeted the most marginalized in our society, especially the elderly, those with health conditions already. And, they didn't give a fuck, right? They were like, oh, let them die. It's natural selection. We want to barbecue it. We want to go to the ball game or some shit like that.
Yeah, like Reverend Scott, are you here? I don't know, but it's weird. Like the people that hate Charles Darwin and they love social Darwinism. That's a really concerning thing. Like Trump seems to be really into social Darwinism.
Yeah, and COVID, the Republican COVID response was equally that, right? Where Trump keeps on bringing up his IQ, like his genetic IQ. I don't know if you guys have noticed that this whole talk about how he was gifted with such a high IQ. And, okay, so that's a form of Darwinism, sure. But they disregard science whenever it goes against their narrative, right? Like we saw with COVID, like we saw with the fact that Anthony Fauci has private security because he gets so many death threats to this day. This crazy people are sending him and his family death threats all the time. And yeah, yeah, it's just so disgusting. But does anyone have their passport up for renewal this year? Is anyone here going to be getting the Trump?
Mine's actually up for renewal. How do I avoid getting the Trump stamp on it?
You can't avoid it if you're going to get a passport.
No. Wow, this is a cosmic lesson, not the procrastinator.
I don't know if you get the National Park Pass. There's an annual National Park Pass you can get for $80. And it also has Trump's face on it nowadays. It used to only be George Washington on the face. Now it's where they have a different design sometimes also. Now it's Trump and George Washington on the Park Pass. And another thing is the National Park Service. And so, yeah, it's like you're putting your face on the National Park Pass while you gutted 80% of National Park rangers.
He's really unhinged. Wait, what's the Washington Passport Bureau? In Barcelona, he's an expert at this.
I do gotta give the Trump family some credit. They started a nuclear technology company, right? And it just so happened the nuclear technology company was founded the same time the Trump administration plans on giving a bunch of government contracts to that specific type of nuclear fusion company. And so, the Trump family are kind of geniuses, right? Starting a nuclear fusion company. I think they fused it with the social media company Truth Social. Or is it Truth Social they fused it with? They fused it with one.
They're thinking of adding an online casino to the website.
Yeah, but their online casino is already fully market, right? They make a lot of money though.
No, they want another one as part of Truth Social, of course.
Evening, afternoon.
Yeah, sure, I don't get the Trump stamp on my passport.
Yeah, so don't use the Washington passport office.
I don't live close to Washington, D.C. or Washington State. How do I make sure it doesn't get filed either?
So as long as you renew it online or at your local passport office, because I know some people have to go in person to try to get it immediately, you can avoid it. It's that particular office that will be giving out those.
Thank you so much. So it's the expedited office that manages.
Excuse me, sorry.
It's like the expedited office that will have the Trump stamp.
Right. It's just any passport that you renew at that Washington, that particular location. Tax dollars. I'm just sick of it.
I'm excited for the ballroom. I wonder how gauche and gaudy the ballroom will be. Because have you guys seen the presidential
What's the
Walk
budget
of
for?
Fame?
Have you seen it on the Trump?
400 million is the budget for the ballroom.
And Trump's running the party of fiscal responsibility.
And did you guys hear the DOJ is going to arrest James Comey live on camera tomorrow? Or not, the DOJ isn't going to directly arrest him, but because they have an arrest warrant for him, right? They're going to make him be the perp walk. I'm pretty sure, and for threatening Trump's life, quote unquote. Hanson, please come up. Hanson. Hanson, as a Trump supporter, how do you justify a couple of things? How do you justify his face on the passport? As a Trump supporter, how do you justify his face on the National Park Pass? As a Trump supporter, how do you justify $4 billion in the corrupt deals he's done? That's netted his family $4 billion.
I don't know about the passport.
So it got announced today that for the 250th anniversary, some American passports are going to have Trump's face on them.
So instead of the eagle.
No, not the front of the passport. Inside the passport, there's going to be a Trump face.
Okay. You mean like the first page cover?
Yeah.
Page or something
like that. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know about that. And then yes, so the national park pass or something.
Yeah. Trump also put his face on that pass. So how do you justify Trump's egomaniacal narcissism of putting his face on the passport and putting his face on the National Park Pass, and the Trump family, according to the New York Times, gaining around $4 billion in corrupt deals with people like the Emiratis, Saudis.
Where is the Hail Mary plane? Closest to Capitol.
Hanson, go ahead.
Yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, I don't know about the 40 billion.
$4 billion, not
$4 billion. Yeah, I don't know how to look.
I can tell you about it. The $4 billion comes from. So another billion just got added because there was a Syrian businessman, and the Syrian businessman had 12 billion in contracts under sanction. And so to get the sanctions lifted, the Syrian businessman is building a Trump-themed golf course in the Middle East, where he's going to pay the Trump family hundreds of millions in royalty fees, licensing fees. And also the Syrian businessman made a $1 billion deal with Jared Kushner to essentially buy an island in Albania. The other parts of the billions come from Trump's meme coin, Trump's nuclear fusion technology company. The stock skyrocketed because they're going to get a bunch of government contracts. From hotel deals with the Emiratis.
Can you prove that?
Yeah, this is, you can Google it, Jacob.
Can you prove it?
Yeah, just Google it.
I just Googled, anything, but can you prove it?
Yeah.
We've spoken before.
Okay, so Jacob, can you let me finish, fuck's sake?
You hate Trump. Okay, go ahead.
Then the other corruption also comes from Saudi Arabia gave Jared Kushner $9 billion to manage in an asset management fund. And Jared Kushner is going to get a lot of fees paid from that. It's his personal slush fund.
Why would they do that? I mean, he's Jewish.
Can you let me finish? And then let Hanson reply, then you can go, Jacob. And so, Hanson, I've just listed out some of the corrupt deals. So go ahead. Reply to the 3 points.
Yeah, well, I mean, if it is true, that definitely he needs to be punished, right? But that's still a New York Times article. And
no, there are many articles. You can go on, Claude, and ask Claude to link every corrupt deal Trump.
Yes, that is still an allegation, right?
No, these are real financial records. The reason
how do you know? How do you know? I mean, the thing is,
they're all public financial.
Okay, so let's say public financial. Okay, so let's look at when he was
I mean, first of all, let me put it straight. If there's a corruption, we definitely need to go down the route. Just as we need to find out what what's his name? The California governor. What's his name? Newsom. Gary. What?
But it's scumbag Newsom, yeah.
Scumbag Newsom. Yeah. I mean, just we need to go down the pipe, shithole pipe of scumbag Newsom, and then find out what's happening with and his cronies about what's happening with the high-speed rail. How much was that?
I think that cost more than to go to like Mars.
Wait,
Just everything that completed.
Hanson, you're defining.
Okay, so let me finish.
Like $200 billion for nothing.
400 billion? Did you say?
I don't know. It's so ridiculous. Make up the number. Okay? This is liberal.
So we don't have one mile.
What it was like $20 million a mile or something. I could be wrong, but
no, not a single mile laid down. Okay, so we need to do that. Definitely, I'm equal opportunity strictly going down the route. Now, but let's look at what happened to when they did put Trump on court, right? I mean, I had finite number of hours, finite time, and I did look into the allegations, whatever, the suit, right? I mean, they have so many suits against Trump, and I just picked a few. I mean, like one, the most egregious one about the New York Deutsche Bank, my old boss, my old employer.
they tortured this man so many times.
Yeah,
Well, mugshots, it made him president.
Yeah, sure. But let's look into their. If they do have something, they impeached him. What? How many times? Twice? Something. The first term
Didn't matter.
Yeah. So it didn't succeed, and then they put him on trial so many times. And the one time that I looked into the court document, okay, the judge's own writing, and I looked at every page of it, and it just a shitload of bullshit. Okay, so
It's all political.
If you,
political.
yeah, well, I mean, the thing is, if you know anything about the business transaction, is bid and ask. Okay, so you can have as high as low as possible. I mean, sorry, the other way around. You can ask as high as possible.
If people pay for it,
as low as
that's their problem.
Exactly. So the transaction happens when the ask and crosses the bid. It's that simple. There's no
It's like an
crime in asking for the price and bidding the price. All right. So this is complete bullshit. Either this judge is a moron, or he has no practical business experience or market experience whatsoever, and he's presiding over the economic case. That is complete bullshit. Okay, so if you happy, I mean, we can set up a room and go over the court document page by page. I give you a challenge. All right. So, and then you have this Stormy, whatever.
Yeah, the porn star or whatever.
Yeah, the porn star, and then we can do that as well. Okay, and if they have already thrown all the possible case against him, that they didn't get shit, and then the ones that they did, it looks ridiculous and made up. All right, so it just exposes the judge's ignorance or the political motivation. And what can you get the other way?
Liberals hate Trump.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, the other thing is, if the liberals, I mean, I have always advocated for small government, limited, smallest, minimal government, so that the government bureaucracies, you don't have as much power in the hands of the a few and the president or whatever. And now it was the liberals that concentrated the power, more and more power into the hands of government. Now you have it. Now you
have to accept it.
Yes,
no matter what.
They used to be happy about.
Now if you don't accept them, they kill you or shoot you.
Yeah, but the thing is, when they have their man on the throne, and they can, so they're happy to accumulate as much power in their hands. They're happy, but you have to think about the consequences, right? I mean, if your opponent man on the throne, now you're not happy. I mean, just the highest degree of hypocrisy.
Well, they're immature people. That's what
Okay, so now I'm
changes.
going to respond, and I'm going to respond with 2 points. Point number 1, there was a deflection in that I was talking about Trump's second term.
No, I'm not. I let you
finish, Hanson. Let me just finish.
All right, go ahead.
So, point number 1, I was talking about the corruption in Trump's second term. You brought up indictments and charges from his first term. The impeachments were from his first term.
I already addressed that.
Yeah, and we are talking about his second term. You did not address.
No, I already addressed that. When you finish, I'll address that.
Okay. So first of all, we were specifically talking about the $4 billion in corruption, now $5 billion, that he has not been charged for, not been impeached for, because the DOJ and FBI are under his control right now.
God, I'm so sick of this crap, this anti-Trump. He's getting shot at. He's throwing down.
Go back to Little Italy on Taylor Street in Chicago, okay? Go to Taylor Street in Chicago or some shit, Jacob.
What are you calling me? What are you calling me?
A walk. And secondly,
you know what? What are you supposed to fucking be? Are you proud of yourself? I remember your ass.
And secondly, Hanson, you did another deflection.
Where you
spent
why do you hate Trump so much?
Where you spent the first half of your argument deflecting to Gavin Newsom. And you were like, well,
this motherfucker's gay as a motherfucker.
I didn't deflect. I specifically said that, but you can finish. And
those were my 2 points. Right, you were talking about his impeachment charges that you read, but those were from his first term on 95 pages. Those were from his first term. I'm talking about second term. Nothing has been charged yet. It has only been documented so far because the DOJ and FBI are under his control. And secondly, you said,
that's why they almost shot at him the other night.
We weren't talking about Gavin Newsom, though, right? That is a pure deflection to bring up.
Nobody cares about Gavin Newsom. He's some rich, privileged white boy.
Jacob, that's fine. Let me. I have preemptively. It's okay. I have preemptively covered with your supposed reputation, which is not. I preemptively said that. I didn't say that I didn't deflect. I said specifically, maybe you're deaf and dumb. I specifically said
don't use that language.
No, it's okay. I mean, because I did say that, and you didn't listen, or you didn't hear it. Okay, so if you didn't hear it, I said it. That means one of us either is a mute or dumb.
You gotta learn to shut your mouth, man. You don't know what you're talking about.
What? Are you fucking off? Shit! You need a broomstick up your ass.
Wait, who are you talking about?
I'm talking about this green man.
Don't mind him. He's from a communist country. He's from Cuba. They don't know how to talk well with others. That's why, they never got further in life than like second grade.
All right. Well, Scott
Jones is back in the room and just hanging out. Howard, it's great to see you. What's going on? Is Trump nuts or not?
He's nuts, but he's definitely, a master communicator, and he knows how to bring the agenda and basically keep himself on the heavens.
So, if that's the case, is what you say, Howard, wouldn't you advocate the tactics of how Trump negotiates with people if you were to teach a business class or something like that going forward? Or
No,
or would you rely on the how should you say the salesmanship of Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota?
No, not necessarily. You're comparing apples to oranges. I think.
No, there's one person that's like a talented person and another person that's a hack.
Well, it's fair to criticize the president. I don't think he did a good
Or like my governor, Jimmy Pritzker, he weighs 400 pounds. He can't even get on most flights. They would charge him for 2 seats because he's that big.
At least he's going to get a fair stadium done and not going to idiot.
Yep. He's letting them go because he's an idiot. So what policies about Democrats do you like the most? What's the most intriguing?
I think again the president could have done a better job gaining alignment on Iran with his allies. He didn't really build enough consensus, and he got himself into a corner.
What allies do we need?
Politically, that's ultimately going to hurt him. But I think he's at a tipping point where his second term, he's out. As each day goes on, more and more a lame duck. And I truly believe, I mentioned this earlier in the Critical Thinking Forum, which is on at 5 p.m. New York time, Monday to Friday, and on Spaces at midnight on Saturday and Sunday, that I believe Trump is interested in really 3 things right now. 1, his legacy. 2, making money. And 3, keeping himself perpetually out of jail. Those are the only 3 things he cares about.
So why really care about the first 2? Fine, that's fine. But I disagree on the third.
Excuse me, I'm speaking.
Why would he go to jail, sir? Why would he go to jail?
He only cares about the polls as much as it is.
You said out of jail.
Legacy. So those are the 3 things that he is most interested in as it relates to, I believe, where he is in his second term right now.
Yeah, I think Howard's on something. I mean, I think there are state charges floating around. I don't think there will be any federal charges that he will face, but I think there are state charges. Yeah, I think he's. What this will look like right now, I don't know. So he is such a norm violator. We've just not had a president be this lawless.
Yeah, this guy is, he's almost 80 years old. I don't think jail, you can see really any jail time. I think the biggest risk for jail time actually is going to ultimately be with all the business transactions, and I'm not just saying insider trading, but just all the transactions that's involved. Donald Jr., Eric Kushner.
You're gonna be sued if you keep. That's liable. That's liable. You're gonna be sued. It's liable.
Have risk on hey, Jacob, if you keep me, I'm just going to continue to mute you. My point is ultimately that I think it's really the next generation for Mr. Trump. That's the biggest risk in terms of staying in jail.
No, Howard, I'm with you. I mean, I think I'm with you. I think that it's interesting too. I mean, so you and I both have conservative friends, and for years during the Biden administration, all I heard from my right-wing friends was Hunter Biden, right? What did Hunter Biden make, like $2 million? I mean, from Burisma, these kids are unbelievable. I mean, they're fleecing the country, and no one cares. That's what's crazy. No one cares.
I would agree with you, Scott. I guess I would just frame it as no one cares, perhaps at this moment. But I think ultimately, there's going to be cause and effect, and there will be consequences. It's just going to be deferred at the moment.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, I think, but I think the thing that I find significant, and we did it, in the clubhouse room earlier today. He's at 33%, right? So this is the first time I've seen in his administration that he's losing his base, right? I mean, in general, his poll numbers never get below like 38 to 40%. This was an AP poll, which I think is a pretty decent poll. He's at 33%, which means his base is running from him, which is super interesting to me. I think he's at this point. I think he's in free fall, and I don't know. And again, I mean, who cares? His legacy, on some level, he's a second term lame duck president, but I do think you're onto it. I think the money, the legacy, and the staying in a jail.
What exactly do you mean? Like, how's it going to be destroyed?
It's not looking good. People to suffer. It's not looking too good right now. Yeah, I don't think it's good. I don't think it's a good situation, but
I don't know. I want to say something too, because I just want to be clear. Again, this is just one person's perspective, but this is Trump's second term, right? He's number 47 and number 45. Well, we did have president number 46, and I believe the cause of what's going on today, number 46, Joe Biden, he bears some of the responsibility of what's happening to America today, because we all
no, sir, it's the elites. No true American leader is the president. Trump is not president. Biden is not president. Obama is not president. They're shadow governments.
They still have a lot of influence how they manage their political capital.
Right, because the elites gave it to them. The elites wish it.
That's fine, but I feel he need to do everything possible during his term to make sure that we didn't repeat the same mistakes. And I feel it's worse than Groundhog Day, but that's essentially what's happened. So I feel you got to put some accountability back.
I just have a question. Why are you guys talking about Trump's nut?
Well, because, I mean, come on.
Are you, jealous or something?
We're totally jealous. But, no, I think, Howard, you're right. And I think Biden, so one of the things I think Biden did, and it was a gamble, was I think Biden was looking at a possible recession. And he thought, okay, what am I going to do to avoid it? And so I think he pumped hundreds of $billions into the economy, which raised prices, created an inflationary dynamic in the economy, but staved off the recession. I mean, he did stave it off. I don't know if that's what he should have done. And the other thing about Biden, I think, I think Biden was a Washington insider. And part of the Washington insider thing is the guy could just get things done and spend money. He knew committee structures, he had favors, he knew people. And I think, I think that in the interim, because of COVID, people were so disgruntled that they went Biden. And, I think it's an interesting thing. He'll go down as a one-term president, but he was not ineffective as far as he knew how to spend money and mobilize the government. another word for gay, but.
Well, you said he spent money. So, Canadian.
Yeah, I mean it's but Rita, so hey, it's good to see you. You're Canadian and you love Trump. He's at 33. Oh, sorry, I apologize. You're Nicaraguan. He's at 33%. What do you make of that? I mean, it's the lowest his approval rating has been since he's been president. I mean, do you
I don't think it matters what your approval ratings are. I still like.
I'm not saying he's not likable. I'm just saying I think it's.
Is he a narcissist? Yes. Does he say dumb things? Yes. Do I still like him? Yeah.
But do you think hitting his approval rating, like getting below 35%, is? I mean, do you think that's a weakness? That's
what on average is what's the range of likability with that particular statistic? Like, what is the range of popularity? Like, do they have who has been at what levels?
Yeah, I think Truman and Bush, since they've been doing the Gallup poll, Truman and Bush have both been in the 20s.
But, what's the highest level that it's in?
Well into most presidents. So most presidents, at their inauguration are well north of 70%, right? And that's because Americans just like to root for the president. And so Trump has never been that high. I think his highest approval rating was this year. He got to 50% at the inauguration.
So then explain to me how it is that he has such a low percentage in this polling, yet he's still president. If he's so unpopular, how did he get elected?
Well, because Kamala was terrible.
Yeah, you guys picked a bad one with that one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Kamala was terrible. I think one of the mistakes Biden made, which was horrible, is he should have just said, I'm a one-term president, and we should have had a Democratic primary. If we had a primary, Kamala would have been destroyed in that primary. I don't think in 2020 she even made it to Iowa. I think she left the race before the Iowa caucuses. I mean, she was.
I think she was a DEI hire.
Well, I don't know about that. But she was.
No, in fairness, I mean, she did have credentials. But you're right, Scott. It was. I think it may have been right after Iowa, but she was an early exit. And by the way, I just looked it up on Grok, the highest presidential approval rating on record. It won't surprise you when I tell you. It's 90%. It was George W. It was taken right
after 9/11, right? Yeah, I mean,
is it possible just nobody is reaching that high level anyway? I mean, I'm certain Biden didn't reach that level.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think what it also indicates further, at least in the United States, it's really less about the Democratic or Republican Party. It's becoming more and more about the independents in the middle, those people who aren't affiliated with the party, and then decide who they're going to vote for when.
Right. Well, there's a lot of people who are unassociated or unhappy with the current parties.
That segment continues to grow in record.
Yeah, and so they just waver depending on the candidate, which is where I would be. I'm neither Republican nor Democrat.
I learned today, and I don't know what it's like up in Canada, but I heard on the news today, ABC News or David Mirror, I watched it this evening. Record gas prices here in 4 years. Gas prices went back up. And it's not just gas prices for autos, but even growing at a higher rate is diesel fuel. And that's certainly further amplifying inflation because
government is highly left and has this sort of globalist agenda. So they're not really interested in
So what's
finding Canadian oil. And
what is the average price per liter right now?
$1.70 to $1.80 Canadian per liter.
Wait, what is that monopoly money, right? Because that's what
We actually have of gas. It's just that, our current government has this sort of environmental globalist agenda, which is to destroy the reliance on gas and sort of destroy that whole industry. And so they're trying to encourage electric cars, but I mean, there's a cost to the hydro as well, right? And then how do you get that hydro, which would be through nuclear power, because solar is not something that we have in Canada. So, similarly to the energy crisis I think they had in Europe when Russia invaded the Ukraine, it caused issues with the sort of environmental policies of the governments, and especially in places like Germany, and UK driving the cost of gasoline up. Now we have that similar issue here in Canada. So I'm not exactly certain as to the true reason for the surge in gasoline prices. Is what I'm trying to get at. Because a lot of it is policy driven.
And I'm with you, Rena. I think the answer to the energy crisis is nuclear power, and liberals are allergic to it. And it's interesting because you look at France and Sweden and all these countries that have basically no carbon footprint anymore. It's all because of nuclear.
Yeah, well, I'm just sort of saying that there's Canada has a lot of natural resources, but the current government policies won't allow so high. I don't know about the situation in the States, but I just think there's a lot more going on, and at least here a lot of it has to do with taxes as well. So there's no real reason for the cost of gas to be so high other than policy.
Interesting. So we're not really in a free market situation, is what you're saying.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And I think it's just because there's all these competing global agendas, Yeah, it's just there's just a lot going on. So, but in terms of gas as well, one thing I think is problematic for the States is just a reliance on cars. Like in Europe, they have an amazing train situation. In Japan, they also have an amazing train situation. So, there's an issue of your public or your transportation availability.
Most of the country is not. There's just no public transit. I mean, I think. Look, I'm in Philadelphia. It's pretty decent. Like we have subways and trains and buses and things like that. New York, of course, is amazing. DC is borderline. But in general, I think most. I mean, Howard, you're in Arizona. Like I've lived in Arizona. There's just that one train. It's a public transportation nightmare. I mean, you can't get around in Arizona. I had friends who lived right in downtown Phoenix, and if you lived in Philly or New York, at the central location they lived, you'd never have a car. It just would be. But they all have cars. I mean, it's crazy.
Yes, and I would say though, DDC, the metro system, is actually a pretty good system. You can basically get it around the whole, whether it's Virginia, DC, or in Maryland, fairly easy.
it's not terrible. I mean, I think I would put DC third in the Northeast. Like I said, New York, then Philly, then DC. I mean, DC's not. It's not awful, but it's not. With Arena's sake, it's not like Canada or Europe. I mean,
I'm just saying that, you know, if you want people to be less reliant on their cars, you don't need to like pump up the price of gasoline through policy and taxes. You can just have other transportation options. But if those other transportation options are not available, then it's sort of irresponsible to not allow gasoline to be available at a reasonable price, because people do need to get from point A to point B, you know, and there are a number of natural resources available. And if you want people to rely on electric vehicles, then you're going to have nuclear power. You're going to have to supply the hydro. So that's all I'm saying. I'm not opposed to any of those options. I just think that for the betterment of society, you can't just tell people to use electric cars when hydro is also expensive.
Right, and the cost of the electric car is significantly more than a fuel car.
Also, environmentally, apparently the batteries are very damaging to the environment too. So, you know, who's in the right here? People need to get places. So, I don't know. I don't know about the States, but Canada's awful in terms of public transportation. So I'm not using Canada as a good example. I don't know how we got on the topic of gas. I'm sorry, you were talking about Trump. I think.
Well, we were talking about the difference of the cost of, you know, I guess my point I was trying to make was our gas is at a record high. I believe that correlates to a lower favorability rate when Gallup poll is doing surveys right now.
Yeah, I mean, just in general, like when the economy is not doing so well, obviously people blame those in power in government. That's how it works, isn't it?
You know, it's interesting. I was listening to a political podcast, and they were saying, it's a pretty good political podcast, and they were saying that, like, Americans make these decisions about 6 to 7 months ahead of an election. So, like Bush, when Clinton beat Bush, it was really clear that the economic downturn was what was killing him. I mean, he won a war on TV as approval rating. I mean, most Democrats sat out that election because they thought he was unbeatable. Then the economy, you know, did a tailspin. But what was interesting is that by election time, the economy rebounded. There was not a recession, and the economy was booming again. But people make these decisions about, this guy was arguing about 6, 7 months ahead of time. And so it didn't matter that by the election, Bush had righted the economy. People already just said, we're done. And Clinton, you know, won that election. And, I mean, won a war on TV and right the economy. But there was a moment in time where people just said, no, we're done. And I don't know. And maybe I don't know if we're that place with Trump. He's a lame duck. I mean, the next thing that matters is the midterm. So.
Well, I mean, you know, I agree with some of what Trump has done. And I think without Trump, it would be worse right now, globally at least. So I do think he's done a good job for what he was needed for. And I don't think there are any alternatives in leadership. Like, who do you have on the Democratic side? Not that Trump can run again, but I think the Democratic Party is having some challenges in terms of how far left it's been moving. And a lot of the moderates in the Democratic Party are moving towards the Republican Party simply because of all the, you know, too far left progressive Mandami types. So that's pushing out the moderates from the Democratic Party. So, you know, Trump may not be popular, but I think the Democratic Party is
Marshall said this today, earlier, that the only thing that saves the Republican Party in this country is the Democrats. I mean, we are the worst. We're just the worst.
Well,
and I do think we have. I mean, we do have some talent. I mean, like I would say, look at Josh Shapiro. I mean, that guy. He's the governor of my state. He's the governor of Pennsylvania. He's Jewish, which hurts him.
Right.
And he's on record as a Zionist, but
not to change stories, but did you see the NDP convention that was going around online?
No.
Okay. I'll share you a clip, because if you think the Democratic Party is bad, you should see our left party. So you love it. Anyway, sorry.
No, Shapiro is it was crazy. Like so we had an incident a couple of years ago in Philly. So we have one of the biggest highways in the United States is I-95, right? And there was a fuel spill and a fire. It basically shut down 95, and Shapiro fixed it in 10 days. He just basically ignored all the regulations and just said, screw it. He got his transportation secretary. His transportation secretary happened to be in Philadelphia when it happened. He had this guy running around taking Teamsters off jobs and he fixed it in 10 days, which is unbelievable. He's incredible. I mean, and he gets Republican votes. I mean, he's a Jewish Democrat that got about 20% of the Republican vote last time. But he's probably our strongest candidate. And if he wasn't Jewish and was not on the record with the Zionism, which is crazy too, Rita. I mean, I think it's the anti-Semitism now. I mean, it's so in vogue right now. It's not just the left. It's with this Tucker Carlson.
Yeah, you know who would be a really popular candidate for the Democratic Party right now?
Adolf Hitler.
Literally just gonna say that.
I mean, read it. Mein Kampf. Mein Kampf is just a misunderstood rag surface story. I've talked about that.
Okay, so I just posted the channel, the NDP convention, which is our far left party. So I just think you should understand the state of Canada right now.
Well, there we go.
You know what that means, right?
What? No, I mean, Rena, it's so nice to talk with you again. This is fun.
I'm only here for a moment.
I know. No, so I don't know what to make. Oh, we get the great Ben Mendelsohn. Ben, how are you, buddy?
Looks like Ben excited with PTR.
That's how deep the block it is.
So Ben, is Trump nuts? What do you think?
Oh yeah, he's more than nuts. He's pure evil. Nuts gives him too much credit.
But Ben, what I'm most interested in politically right now is his latest poll number in the AP poll was 33%, which that means he's losing his base, right? I mean, he usually does not drop below 38%. So that to me is really interesting. Like he's. I don't know if it's the war, I don't know if it's the gas prices, but that's a chunk of his base saying, we're done with you. So I don't know. I mean, polls are polls, and I don't know, what do you make of a poll number like that?
Well, my only problem is that no matter what the polls are or how unpopular he actually is, he's going to cheat. And that's the question. Can we control his cheating? Because if he's going to cheat, it doesn't matter what the polls are. And he's going to always try to make it seem as though, they're lying.
70%. He just lies, and he lies loudly, and he lies consistently, and it's infuriating. So I don't know. I don't think it makes all that much difference because I think we need to be able to do something to prevent him from cheating. That's the Bible and cheating.
How?
I don't know how to
do that. I don't have a good answer to that. I'm just curious.
Yeah, no, I don't either. I'm concerned about it. I agree with you, Marshall. It's like we've never been in this situation before. It just they keep on ratcheting it up. So I don't know. Well, all I can do is show my resistance through my PTR and hope they don't come knocking on my door.
I mean, don't you think though? I mean, on one level, if I could reinvent the country, I would just go to a strict parliamentary system.
I like that.
Where majority just ruled, right? And I would get rid of
for sure.
I would get rid of the checks and balances, and I would just have.
Wait, you would get rid of the checks and balances?
Yes, I would.
Within the parliamentary system, there are rules within the parliamentary system, but a lot of that stuff is done by coalition force. It's as the founders feared the tyranny of the majority in the same way they feared the tyranny of the minority.
I would rather a system where. So I think in a parliamentary system, you would never get Donald Trump, right? Because in general, the person that rises as prime minister, they go from backbencher to establishment, so they're vetted, right? So
some of the worst despots were elected through parliamentary systems. So how can you say that? Historically, that's not true.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm thinking in modern times. I mean, in Westminster parliamentary systems that Canada and the UK have, I don't think those have produced terrible prime minister.
Well, why don't we look at my background, but Israel has a parliamentary system. And they have one of the worst governments.
This is true. Netanyahu is a problem.
Yeah,
I think
it's a despot.
I think it's a problem in chase of a solution. Like, how do we get rid of the problems we have? Well, we get a parliamentary system, which has its own set of other problems.
No,
we would just be trading one set of problems that you have under a democratic republic to the other set of problems you have under a parliamentary system. And maybe they're novel for a while, and maybe people follow, but the problem in a system, any system, I think, is the commitment to power. And we've gotten to a place, partisanly in the United States, where when it is my guy, it's tight. When it's your guy, it's bad. And on both sides of the aisle, and it's unhelpful toward general governance, right? When the Republicans say, oh my gosh, it's the Democrats, and they're all absolutely terrible, and they're all socialists, and oh my lord, what are we going to do? Right? They're just wrong. They're diagnosing the Democratic Party in a way that doesn't describe the people in it. Whenever people say, oh my gosh, the Republican Party are awful and fascist, and they hate the country, and oh my gosh, they always love Donald Trump. That's also probably accurate, right? But we have, in the country, tended toward this kind of black and white partisan way, which, to me, doesn't work out when you meet voters.
No,
when you meet voters are, much different. And they... Go ahead, please.
No, please.
No, I just wanted to say, most voters are worried about the economy. They're worried about having a good life. They're generally not as
inflamed as people on the internet or people in social media. They're often not nearly as inflamed as cable news makes it sound.
Those people are apathetic.
I think some of them are apathetic, but I think some of them, like, I had a guy for the first time in 10 years offer me a beer as I was, like, talking to him about politics. And he just wanted to chill for a minute. And he's like, you want my vote? You're going to hang out with me for 5 minutes. Like, all right, fine. And the guy's, like, worried it was, like, local taxes and, like, trying to fit in and do the right thing. And he was not super partisanly invested in that way. And that seems to be a bit detrimental to us, or the way in which we engage in it as a country seems to be detrimental. It seems to tear rather than build on both sides of the aisle.
Well, instead of going a parliamentary type system, because I don't think realistically that could happen, I'd rather at least see us put term limits and also age limits. And House of Representatives, yeah, maybe we should extend it so it's after the 2-year term, but so they're at least putting more focus on doing their job than fundraising and running for re-election all the time. Because power can't corrupt for sure. And
yeah, you got like a 6-month window once you get elected.
Yeah.
To get things done before you have to start calling for donors.
And it makes me think of the Sebastian Maniscalco quote. Basically, when it comes to the parties, he basically has a quote. It's like, same corporation, different divisions. And I think
he says that about Jews and Catholics. He's like, same corporation, different divisions.
And I think the rise of the independents is also a reflection of people just not like drinking the Kool-Aid of either party.
Wow, good to see you. How are you?
No, I say no. I vote no.
You vote no. I was invited to speak. Thank you, Howard. No, I'm listening to what Marshall said, and I'm sorry. I think that people are not as ambivalent as you think they are. And I know you're out there. I know you're interviewing with people. And my contact is just by going to the the hands off and the no kings, and that's the whole purpose, is to talk to people. And you would be amazed at how many people had never had any interest in politics. Never had. They voted, but they had no real interest in politics. And they are wired up right now because of Trump. And these are people that would never have. I met people who said they voted for Trump 3 times or twice, whatever it was. People are affected. You talk about that. People talk about their pain, their economy, the economy, how it affects them. That gets them interested in politics. People are having a lot of pain right now. Some of them are doing fairly well, but they have children who aren't, or they have grandchildren. You have so many different things affecting them right now. And so I tend to think that, I don't know, I think it's more than, it's not just people hate Trump. It's people are upset. And I've said this before, people vote their pain. And so I do think that's what's coming down.
I think that's a much more accurate phrasing of the problem.
Yeah,
people vote their pain.
I
agree with that.
For a while. I've been saying that for a while. And I was reading chat, and I know you took issue with somebody about the Trump, the photographs of Trump looking like Mussolini or being affected by Mussolini. That's not just one person. That's not just a person who was writing in chat. That's books right now. That's historians right now.
Yeah, I wasn't saying if I were to range through politicians' pictures, I could find pictures of politicians in the very same way. It's selective
details, Marshall. It's talking about how he's doing it, the manipulation of people, wanting the fake news, wanting your picture off. You want
I don't think comparisons to Mussolini or Hitler are accurate. I think they're hyperbolic, and they chase away the people who the folks making the comparison wish to grab. They wish to grab.
Why do we wish to grab them?
I don't agree with that.
Put it in historical context. There's some similarities, but he's a 30, 40 years later version. Of course, it's going to be different.
That wasn't my point. It's not it's not persuasive. It is a saying and a view that is held on a particular side. That if you wish to have a conversation with other people on the other side, you can't say that stuff, or else they're not going to listen to you.
But Marshall,
in this environment, there is no persuading. I don't understand why. I think you're very naive to think that there's any persuasion going on either side. There isn't. And
There has to be. It's what I do for a living.
I know.
I persuade people to vote.
But I can't imagine that you are persuading a MAGA person to vote for Democrat. I just don't believe it. I don't believe that will ever happen.
No more than I could interest a progressive.
It doesn't happen. Look, we have this aberration that's in the system, and it's called Donald Trump. And until that aberration leaves is removed or leaves the stage, until that happens, there will be no persuasion. The thing is, the people who are like leaving the MAGA and that are pissed off at him are not being persuaded.
As a Democratic chief of staff told me, who represents a member on the East, and has to do with their own party, the saving grace party is the Democratic Party. From a Democratic chief of staff's mouth.
People vote with their tribe, believe me. I understand the idea of voting because of fear, but I don't think that's what I think the some of the more educated, politically inclined people do. But most of the people, the masses, who are not what they call the low information voters, they don't vote that way. They vote with their tribe. They vote because they believe that Donald Trump is the Messiah, and that's not going to change. They're not going to be persuaded. You can't persuade somebody who believes that.
Except that's not actually how that works. I get where you're coming from. If I'm running a campaign, those aren't the decisions I make. The decisions I make are like, where do I send people? Where do I hold events? Who's knocking on what door?
Yeah.
Is it in the right part of town? And that literally is persuasion. Right?
No, I just don't see it. I don't see anybody being persuaded.
Marshall, is it persuasion or mobilization? Because I think,
it's persuasion. There are two models. There's the persuasion, and then
I'm with Ben. I don't think you're getting. I think one of the mistakes Hillary made in 2016 was people were saying all over the swing states that she was going to lose, and her and Donna Brazile imagined the Trump scenario where she won the Electoral College and lost the popular vote, and so she was putting money into spiking turnout, right? So she would look like a popularly elected president. I think some of this I think you're probably right. Some of it is tactics. I'm with Ben. I don't think you persuade people in this environment. I think where elections turn is mobilization, right?
People that matter do get persuaded. They're the independents. They're the people.
I think Ben's right. I think these elections.
Hey, you can think Ben is right, but I have 10 years of doing this to tell you the exact opposite.
Marshall,
I do.
it's the exact opposite experience.
I've got 30 years on you, right? I've lived.
You do. You have 30 more years than I do. Yes, sir. Absolutely.
And I think my experience, I hate to use the word trumps your.
I think Ben is right. I think it's more enthusiasm and turnout. I think elections today are one. I mean, it's very interesting. In 1950, how often you went to church or synagogue was no reliable predictor of whether you were going to vote for Eisenhower or not. Like it just was not. I mean, the country was just more movable then. I think Ben's right. I don't think the country's that movable, and I think people are polarized and tried. And I think it's more about.
I'm not saying that. Like when you design on a campaign a list for voters, I designed two universes. I designed the universe of GOTV, which is Get Out the Vote, which is exactly what you're talking about. But then I designed a persuadables universe where most of those people are independent or lean independent, like from the Democratic side, or lean independent from the Republican side. Right? So there is a persuasion facet to the campaign where you're moving the movables. You have to get your base, yes, but you can't do a campaign without doing both your base support and the people you persuade. Like it's a critical part of both. It's a critical part of like getting voters out to vote, as you said. You have to be able to activate the voters who are a little bit different and who you'll meet in a different setting. Sometimes you meet them on the door, sometimes you meet them at events. But like if you have a universe which is persuadables, it's literally people who swing one way or the other. Where they vote, for the Democrats one election, but they vote for the Republicans the other election.
Well, I think you need to stipulate that we're talking about localized election, because I could agree with you more about state legislatures or local mayor, things like that, because it's closer to home and it's about personalities. It's not necessarily connected to Trump or national. As far as national elections go, I think there's no way, there's no persuasion. But I do agree with you, down ballot, as you get closer to local, you may be able to persuade people because it's more.
I really agree with that. Yeah, I'm with you there. I'm 100%.
That's fine. Yeah.
Well, down ballot is because it affects you where you live. It affects your state. It affects your district. And that's why there are people that don't vote for presidents at all. There are people who write in stupid names and know that votes
down the ballot. There are plenty of people that who you think are judges. There's a name you don't know, but if one or two ring your doorbell and you have a conversation, you may be more apt persuaded to vote for that person.
I will tell you. I'll tell you who's affected by that. Seniors. Yeah. Seniors love people that come to the door. They love the candidate coming to the door.
Yeah. But people have changed their mind. People change their mind about Trump. I've met people who changed their mind about Trump and decided to vote for him when they hadn't before. There are persuadable people. Are they the majority? No. But you don't win by swaying all the voters on the other side. You win by swaying by a small margin. So I think Marshall is right that if you don't think about the persuadables on the other side, the people who the last time around voted for the other side, then you can't win. It's not effective. You have your base, yes, they're not going to be convinced, okay? Maybe that's 80% of the people on either side are the base, okay? But you don't need to win the election by 80% of the people on the other side.
You need to win by 5% of the people on the other side.
Well, I suggest something that's happening different. That's different. The Democrats always split. The Democrats never stayed. That's a big problem that Democrats have, is that they weren't always unified. Republicans now aren't unified. Now you've got a different kind of problem. You talk about people that never.
What do they say? What's the classic thing that Democrats want to fall in love and Republicans want to fall in line?
Yeah, that's true. And I'll tell you the problem that we're going to have this time. The problem that the Democrats are going to have this time is they have to ignore the left. They have to get away from the far left and get closer to the middle. Be slightly to the left of the middle. Democrats cannot do it if they're going to be on the left. It's just not going to happen for them. And I think
that's been the key.
I don't think you knew this because she paused, but she wasn't done.
I was just checking again. That's been the key.
It's been the key.
Good.
Again,
I was just checking in. That was the keystone of advanced political science since the 1980s. Looking for the median voter, which.
No. I was just saying she seemed to have paused, but she wasn't really pausing. So please, Mary, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say we have a dilemma. As a Democrat, I recognize the dilemma, and the dilemma began on October 7th. You then had and I live in a state that has the largest Arab community, and so we've got all of these people who, well, first of all, they thought Donald Trump was on their side, and he's really not. He's on the side of Israel, so they're going to be pretty disappointed in the next election. But we have to stay. This is something I have felt all along, and it's something that I believe, that I've always believed, and that is you stay slightly right of center or slightly left of center. It's so polarized right now that the further you get to the right and the further you get to the left, you are too extreme. You are too extreme, and you're getting away from what is really bothering voters right now. It's not about a religion right now. It is, as I said, it's about economy, it's about pain, it's about fear also.
The lack of affordability is a really big deal. In my travels, I've done roughly about 1,000 doors, so probably talk to roughly 100 people, because people don't like to answer the doors. So anyway, and I've gotten the economy, things are not affordable. They'll still vote for my candidate because I think she's been doing a good job because she's regionalizing her election instead of nationalizing it. But I still get stuff's really expensive. And so it's like the pain you're talking about is a very real thing I think the average American struggles with. And the Republican cause has not been good at answering the question. The Democrats seem to be at their best when they are arguing about affordability. That's just my personal particular opinion.
Well, I'm going to tell you something else. I think Republicans underestimate what the No Kings or the hands-off rallies were. I think they completely underestimate how organized those people are, and that's one vote. They're out there, and they're going to bring in more votes. That's the whole point. And when you get that many people, I don't think you've ever seen that before.
Yeah, my friends who were doing that in our local No Kings protests, wound up with a fair number of people who wanted to volunteer for causes. I went twice, not the most recent time, because it was relatively small and I had some to-dos in the middle of the day. But I ran into people I'd known since I was in middle school. And I don't know about other people's areas, but at least in my area, it's very Democratic, despite the fact that I'm Republican. So I went to school with a lot of Democrats who've become involved. And, they seemed really kind of charged, really energized. They outvoted the Republicans. in Hidalgo County. So at least the local metro kind of shows that the energy is on the Democratic side of the aisle. It's not situated on the Republican side of the
Can I
United
say
States.
one thing? I guess.
Of course, please.
As the only MAGA supporter on stage, I would just say that, fundamentally, Mr. T is under a lot of pressure right now. Mr. T is basically a pincer movement is happening, where you have the Tucker Carlson's paid by Couture, and you have the Democrat establishment, which has been calling for his assassination, and now there have been 3 assassination attempts on him.
Wait. Pardon me, I don't mean to be rude. Did you just say who's calling for his assassination, Trump's assassination?
He said the Democrats. He said the Democrats.
Jeffrey said...
Give me a name of anybody who has called for his assassination.
Jeffries, Chuck Schumer...
Hakeem Jeffries has called for his
assassination? Why do you lie? Because you know you're lying. You're lying. Schumer never called for assassination. You're lying. You're lying.
Intelligent to say it. This is an intelligent conversation. Why would you say something that's not even intelligent?
He didn't use the exact word assassination, but in so many...
No, he hasn't.
I'm heavy-handing moderating for that.
Yeah, but let's continue. Let's not even spend too much time on that. Let's just keep moving.
But what I find interesting about Trump, right? I think what's interesting is right now I think Bush and the neocons opened up a space for him, right? And he ran in 2016 as someone that was like, I'm not gonna get into these stupid wars. And I'm gonna protect Social Security and Medicare. That's not a very Republican position. Populist. And now he's governing just as a Reaganite neocon, right? I mean, he's the war in Iran, I think, is a little crazy. And he's also, I think his signature accomplishment is the tax cuts, which will be, you can't undo tax cuts in this country, right? People just like low taxes. And so, but that's really, what's fascinating to me is that he's kind of a dumber version, I think, of Ronald Reagan.
And a master communicator.
Yeah, and a master communicator. He's Reagan with less IQ points and maybe better communication skills.
Reagan did have a consistent philosophy. He did absorb the sort of the traditional conservative viewpoints and platform. Donald Trump has no ideology at all. There's no ideology. And Ronald Reagan is not like that. So I
argued earlier in Jerry Grimm that I believe this whole thing with Jimmy Kimmel or about indicting Comey again, to me it's just divergent tactics to keep the focus and have people further talk about the X-Files. Like, as I say, one other person in that state that we haven't allowed to speak in is Dr. Jordan. So, Jordan.
My main man, Doc.
Well, I'm at the gym, which is why I'm on the treadmill. But, I agree with Ben that, I don't, this guy is so insecure that every move he makes is reflexive. And so, I don't think it's that complicated. His psychopathology has influenced the culture and the society now. I didn't hear the conversation about Mussolini, but what was interesting in the book Strongman, that kind of a social scientist like the author could go back in and look at the 5 big personality traits or look at various parameters of socio-psycho consideration and find patterns of behavior. It's kind of like FBI profiling. You really aren't going to be diagnostic in your approach, but you're going to look at behavior patterns doesn't know the rule book. He naturally kind of follows it, though, because that's what an insecure leader with dark tetrad personality traits would do. Now, I'm not a clinician. Again, this is just an academic perspective, but I don't think it's that complicated. You can almost predict what he's going to do if you take away the noise. Part of his job is to make a lot of noise and bring chaos to the media's attention so that he can distract us. Anyways, I'm done because I'm talking a little too much here at the gym.
I will just say the stuff, and Howard, I understand your interest in it, but the stuff that has won the Democrat special elections is not discussion about the Epstein files or the Iran war. It's been, hey, stuff's far too expensive, you're feeling some pain, we would better service that pain than the Republicans have. And the Democrats, and I think it was Virginia, had wins down to the county level, which that kind of stuff hadn't happened for them in a decade. The Democratic Party got in about a decade, I think. Right? It just is a really big advancement. So while the Epstein files are interesting, they certainly aren't the thing that are driving votes in that way.
And Mark, just to be clear, I'm not at all contending that is even an issue. I'm talking more about an observation and a belief I have in Trump's psychology. Now that he's getting towards the back nine of term 2.0, I believe he's just most interested in, one, his legacy, two, making money, and three,